Righto, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the night. Welcome to Dirtbagz. I'm your host, Josh Curran. Now, unfortunately for all the listeners at home, it's just me tonight. But great news for all the listeners at home. I'm here with the one, the only, Mickey B from Mickey B's R&D. How you going, brother?
Good, mate. Good to be here, and might just crack a 10 as we get into this.
Are we going to get on the bopper?
On the bopper, mate.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. So I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of the man, the myth, the legend known as
Woo.
Woo. The man, the myth, the legend known as Mickey B. So Mickey B's been around the four-wheel drive industry for a long time. Mickey, you once competed in Outback Challenge as well back in the day with Troy Crimmins. So was involved in building a very cool GQ Shorty. It was a twin turbo 4.2 petrol. Bypass shocks, everything like that?
Not at that race. We actually took that off to fit the shocks, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So how did that come? So the idea was that it was going to be a 4.2 petty twin turbo?
It was the single at the time, but we just couldn't package it all.
Yes.
Got rid of that just so we could keep a bit of reliability for the race, and we really didn't know what we were getting into as usual, last minute sort of stuff. So we put the bypass shocks in the front and
So just bypass? Coilovers as well?
No, just the bypasses.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Beautiful. And then the idea behind that obviously was suspension is better than horsepower.
Yeah, just the longevity and the travel to go through the bumps and that, and just bring it back pretty safe without the turbos at the time, because we're getting into it, we're pretty new to it. We sort of doing a bit of same stuff as Russell Mason at the time.
The wheelman.
Yes,
the wheelman
himself.
Yes, I like it. So then we'll start off there. We'll go back to what was the catalyst behind deciding to get out to Outback Challenge? It was something that you'd always wanted to help Troy build a car for and get out there and compete?
Yeah, well, sort of met Cremo through my wife and at the time, and just got stuck into it and sort of doing the same sort of stuff, and we just teamed together because we lived down the road, and before you know it, we were going to the Outback Challenge on a borrowed car, a borrowed trailer, and
as if the tow car was borrowed or the race car was borrowed?
No, not the race car. The tow car was my old man's and Paulie Wardyke's trailer at the time, and sort of got there and caught ourselves sort of last minute racing.
Yes.
When they asked us what our team was.
Last minute racing.
Yeah, we didn't have a clue really. And got it there and got down to cold Outback Challenge and stuck into it just with one fridge and 2 sets of clothes and just froze to oblivion.
Yeah. So the Outback Challenge is it west? No, it would be
east, very west central
of
New
Broken
South
Hill.
Wales.
Yep. Copy. So as you can imagine, it's probably pretty cold out there at that point in time, and
very windy desert cold stuff, because it was sort of middle of the year as well.
And so the idea behind that with only minimal amount of clothes and everything like that was you just didn't have room to fit them in the car.
Basically, it was a shorty.
Yep. So for those of you listening along at home or tuning in, the idea behind it of Outback Challenge is that you are 100% self-sustainable. So you have to carry all your own spares, your food, your cooking, your camping equipment, everything like that.
Swags,
for the swags, everything that you need for that event, you have to carry on your car. And it was a 7-day event.
It was nearly 14 days. That
14 days.
Yeah.
So you had a rest day anywhere and restock on food and stuff like that?
Honestly, I can't recall. We had to go back to town one day because we did a power steering hose.
Yes.
And borrowed some stuff off good old Kim Bolton at the time. We were lucky enough on his sort of group cruising around, which was a really good group of blokes and ladies. It's sort of one of those cold night stages where you just drop straight into the creek and navvy straight out into the water.
Yes.
And then after that stage, it was actually getting your swag, freezing cold, wet.
Yep.
No sleep at all.
Yep. So obviously nowhere to have a shower, nowhere to warm back up. Yep.
We'd go sort of to service stations, but we'd go right out to Wilcania,
Yes.
stuff like that, and Cobar and that. And we did a lot of liaison stages, but you do small stages in like creeks and beds, and then also a bit of GPS sort of stuff, which we sort of dropped into that with no knowledge whatsoever.
Yes.
Borrowed GPS at the time, and basically me being navvy, I was useless. Crimo was actually leaning over, putting all coordinates and stuff in, and sort of I'd be telling him to go straight or left or whatever, and not even looking at the road. And he's like, "Well, I can't."
Yes.
You sort of go one way or the other to try and get to that final point. But
Yep.
yeah, we got through. Basically, he's fully self-sufficient apart from going to fuel stations. You all travel together.
Yep.
I think there was like 50 something entries for that. We ended up in 18th, which is, we were wrapped with it, to be honest. But it was really good people, really good event organisers. They'd done it for a long time.
Yes.
And basically at the end of the day, we learnt so much out of that race.
Yep.
And then when we got back from that, I decided to start myself doing a bit of winch challenges in the little production class.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Back in the day with my own shorty. And
was that the maroon one?
No, not the maroon one. The blue Maverick.
Ah, yeah.
The petrol auto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not the Safari. No, that was the Fink getter, that one.
Yes. Yes. So then so you got involved in winch challenges and started.
Yeah, just decided to keep a bit of a budget because I had no money at the time really, and
yes,
kept it simple, and I only did 2 races in production class, won both of them. Then attending your boys' dirt sprints, which turned into mud sprints.
Yeah, that's right. And then ended up being all the prize money just got put on the bar that night. So.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool. Coming away with a win with that in production class, and basically, I don't know, you were showing me the photo the other day of the trophy. I basically just tipped my beer straight in that and drank straight out of the trophy.
Yeah, that is true. I don't
the good old Caves crab pot.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good weekend, and actually that's for us really. That's a weekend that kicked off a lot of friendships as well for us because we ended up we organized this event and it was called Dirt Sprints, but just happened that I think a tropical cyclone crossed the coast of central Queensland the weekend we were getting ready to run that event. Yep. So I think we got like close to 650 mils of rain the day before the event, and we had to shorten up the track. And so essentially, shout out to all the competitors that came up to Dirt Sprints. We just decided to do a $500 dash for cash, and then all the prize money for the rest of the classes went onto the bar that night, so everyone got to bond. Yeah, that was actually one of the first times we got to meet Mickey B.
Yeah,
and then also BT and Elise came up for Dirt Sprints as well, and that was
a few trophies in their own crowd.
Yeah, that's right. So that was one of the first times we managed to meet a couple of people that we are now have formed lifelong friendships. So,
but they were like class 8s, though.
Well,
a bit of advantage.
Well, and actually, funnily that you mentioned Kim Bolton helped you out in the Outback Challenge because BT not obviously, but for those at home, BT's the 888, the GU that he races is Kim as well. So off-road racing, it's a small but wonderful world.
Very is, yes.
Yeah. So a little bit of production winch. So for those that are following along at home, the difference between production and say, I guess you'd say the open class of winch challenge, was it much like say the difference between class 7 and class 8? Like you had to have standard shock towers, standard motors, stuff like that. You could work within certain parameters for that.
Yeah, pretty much. We could go to 35s locked diffs, but no air free spool or anything like that. And
so the Navi had to spool the winch out or do the old turn the handle and let it.
Sort of stuff with everyone else you're talking to. It's I thought it was pretty cool. Like, it's sort of when we were looking at getting into jet sprint boats, going to the like LS class and stuff like that, just sort of keeping it all together.
Sorry, you were looking at getting into jet sprint boats at one point in your life?
Yes.
When was that?
Would have been 2018.
So why? Because you're a man that you always interest me and excite me with the
Come
avenues
come.
that you end up down. So why didn't you end up in jet sprint boats?
Basically, I had no idea what I was getting into. It's the same as me not getting into like trophy trucks or whatever. Like
Yes,
I probably could, but I fully enjoy the engineering side of things, and boats or cars or whatever. You're just worried about that first turn, to be honest.
yes, yep.
And breathing underwater is a bit
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
problem.
yeah. Coffee. So, when you say the jet boats, you mean where they essentially excavate out a track and
Yep, the
you
little
it,
swamp. Yep.
yes, yep. So where? Because I'm.
The first one I went to was at Cabarita.
That's what I was about to
It's a
say. Where is
great
this? Yeah,
spot. It's
yep.
like Tweed Heads and that. It's a beautiful little amphitheater. You sit up in there and you can see the whole thing, and it just echoes so loud. And just seeing those Formula One boats get there and that, just there on the bopper.
Hey.
Um, yeah, drink to that.
Oh, we got to, mate. It's the new game, thanks to Danny Curran. So, and actually, mate, he did just post. He is listening in. So, Danny Curran, that one's for you, mate. Mickey B says he wants to know where you are, mate. He's bought the mog up. He's bought, and
Yeah, I'm just talking to your missus too, mate. I hear you're not here. I've come all the way up from Toowoomba with the mog to go to Fivies and sort of left high and dry at the moment.
classic Danny Curran, actually. No. But he's a good man. He's a good man. He's actually away working at this point in time, making
Attending work.
attending work. That's right. But after our rather long think getaway. So, but yeah. So sorry. Back to the jet boats. Yeah. So you just decided that it wasn't quite for you.
Yeah, no, I nearly purchased one of the like the LS controlled series. Just money and logistics and not really know what I was doing. But, I went to a few other races, had the bug in that, but then got back into off-road racing, sort of get myself back connected with that full-on living with off-road racing again.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, I think you are right when you said that you are full on living with off road racing at the moment. So
Yeah, it's been a bit hectic.
been been a bit
It's good.
hectic. So, like you said, you hadn't been around off road for a little while, but then
Yeah.
obviously the idea was born for as you can see here. Like you said, we're wearing the hoodie, and Mick's got the cap on. The Mickey B's R&D, mate. Tell us a little bit about where the idea from this was born.
Oh, look, mate, it's just sort of something, getting away from the mining industry. Did that for a fair while. Enjoyed it, still miss it. Not really, but still do. But really, just time to live life and cruise around with a heap of cool people and work on some cool stuff and do a bit of engineering and, yeah, just get amongst it and live life a bit, really.
So what are you currently doing at the moment? So you're I'll lead in a little bit. I know what you're doing, but for our listeners at home, you're tied in a bit with not a bit. You are tied in with Brent Smoothie and Bo Robinson OBR.
Yeah, look, I try and help out as many people as I can. That's my main thing, helping people and just enjoying it and being part of it. And at the moment, I tour around with Smoothie, helping with everything basically from logistics and prepping the truck and yeah, just everything really. And then been pretty lucky to team up with Bo as well. They've sort of accepted me in, hopefully, and doing a bit with their sort of stuff and just hanging around their guys. They're really good, really cool crew, man. Like it's awesome what these guys can achieve, and just to be a part of it is, I'm just living it, to be honest,
Yep.
and very grateful.
Yep.
It's really cool, to be honest. Yeah.
Yep. So your role within the team really for Smoothie is general engineering, general fabrication, general maintenance. You're one of the prep guys essentially. Like after each race, you'll pull the truck down and put it back together and get it ready for the next race.
Yeah. So basically, at the moment, there's myself and Reese Burgess. He's another really cool diesel fitter as well. That's our sort of background, but been off road racing a fair bit. And yeah, we do everything from logistics, from driving the truck from Perth to every race, then prepping, organising parts. I do a fair bit of welding and engineering, and I've been lucky enough to be working with Kenny at KRE and the boys there, and Wendy.
Yeah, that's very
They've
cool.
sort of taken me under their wing, which is really cool, and working with them. So at the track, I can help out with a bit of electronics and engine stuff. So sort of just covering everything really, mechanical engineering and, nuts and bolts and tires, even, putting brand new tires on beadlock wheels and,
Yes.
helping out with stickers and paint and panel and
Yep.
bit of electronics and just everything like parts, organizing fuel,
Yep.
dealing with the right people and
Yes.
stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. And it's pretty cool at the end of the day when, they're hopefully they're pretty appreciative of it, which I think we got a pretty good bond with all the people I've been working with. And
Oh, I can imagine.
they look after me really well, the boys are quite fortunate enough to own helicopters and sort of stuff like that. So we get to do a bit of hang time
Yes.
when we get a chance and
Mate,
stuff like that.
I got to say, I was very jealous last year. You sent me a few videos of yourself up in a helicopter at Fink, and I was very jealous. It's kind of it's a bit of a dream to be able to get up in a helicopter and chase some of those top cars and top bike, particularly the top bikes. I think I'd find that super interesting to see the lines that they take and the way a guy like a Toby Price or a David Walsh or a Jack Simpson, the way they ride that track. You know, their knowledge of those tracks is just unbelievable. As I guess the risk that they have to take every day that they when they're riding those tracks. So to be up in a helicopter chasing them would be it'd be one of those once in a lifetime experiences.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like last year, we'd sort of finished prepping the truck, and basically Smoothie just said, "Righto, you two boys, jump in the chopper, go for a spin." And we sort of watched a few of the last quads and bikes come through, which is pretty cool for those people that are sort of just battling it out. But
Yep.
this year, I sort of got the truck ready once Smoothie come down and made sure there was nothing critical. And they sort of said, "Righto, well, now's your time to hop in the chopper, go for a spin," and it worked out really good. So we actually followed Smith and Jack Simpson in, and which is pretty cool to see those front runners come in.
Yep.
And we sort of try and
Sorry,
keep.
so you followed them into Apachula on day one, or followed them back into
No,
Alice?
into Apachula on day one. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see him come in, and so you sort of in the chopper, like some boys don't like the chopper there or whatever, and we sort of try and keep out of the way, but it's sort of cool. And the chopper pilots are really cool. Like they're a really good couple of blokes that work for Smoothie, and they got pretty good opportunities as well. And they sort of put the choppers in a few good spots where you can get some footage, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
whoever's in the back or whatever, they just turn around and then drive the chopper backwards or whatever, just to get a good shot for
Yep.
whoever's in there or whatever they want to do at the time.
Oh, mate, some of the I got to give mad credit to the OBR boys. The footage and that they've been putting out this year, you know, some of the footage of Greg Gardner, some of the footage of Jack Simpson,
Yeah.
and the footage of OBR themselves has just been amazing. It's been so high quality that it's just that little step above. And I mean, having a helicopter absolutely helps. It's that next level up from a drone. But yeah, the boys are doing a fantastic job there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The boys have got a pretty tight criteria at the moment now with especially Huddy, and then we had
Yep.
another one of the really cool mates like doing sort of the other stuff while Huddy was in the truck with Bo.
Yes.
So we sort of had footage in the shop, and then of this new truck coming in, and then obviously that, and they were doing interviews and that, which is pretty cool. Like it's
Yep.
a pretty good opportunity for people, and like
Yep.
this is just sort of the thing that OBR and Smoothie and a few of the other teams do as well. Like even Patriot was hiring a chopper off Smoothie.
Yep.
A Jet Ranger at that as well. So
Yeah. Big dogs.
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
They're getting around to that.
Yep.
And and like I've seen some of the footage. I try not to get in too much footage myself because I'm a bit shy.
You are a little bit shy.
Yep. But yeah, it's good, and like full on, like obviously OBR have been in it for a long time and have always supplied really good footage. But to be a part of it and see the whole behind the scenes and what actually goes into organising everyone and the prep for it all, and then the cost involved is something else to talk about. But
well, I was laughing. We were fortunate enough to be able to get Bo for a podcast just before he come and recorded in Alice Springs with us. So which we're super grateful for. Particularly we talk about Bo and Paul Wheel like giving up time in Alice Springs to us. So we're super grateful for that. But we laughed because when I said, "Oh man, people don't realize the amount of work that goes into even just ensuring that the cameras are turned on and everything like that." And Bo's response to that was just, No, they turn themselves on. That's what Huddy's for. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, Huddy, shout out to Huddy. He does an awesome job in getting all that footage for him and everything like that.
Yeah.
But mate, you just kind of breezed over a little bit there, the KRE connection there. So tell us a little bit
Oh,
about.
look, mate, it's been pretty cool. Like, for those who don't know about KRE, that's Kenny McNamara and his family and all these boys and his
Only
daughter and
make
that.
V8 supercar engines for Red Bull Racing.
Yeah, so they've done quite well there, and everything they do, especially sprint cars and all that. Like Kenny's been around forever. They got a really tight show down there in Brisbane at Redlands Bay and that. And we were just sort of there at the start of the year, working on Smoothie's truck and getting the engine ready with a few new parts, and just because we were there working on the truck, I had to use their lathe, the mill, and stuff like that, and just caught a bit of a connection there, and then Kenny sort of approached me, and it's been pretty cool since. And we just got a really good connection with working on stuff. And like Kenny's a busy man, and his team is too, trying to get to the V8 supercars and that. And like obviously off-road division isn't as much throughput as his other stuff with the sprint cars and the V8 supercars. And like he does a bit of stuff for other boats and then custom stuff for other people that he's worked with for a long time.
Yep.
And yeah, it's been cool to work with him. And he's very open, Kenny, very genuine. His whole family is, all his boys there. And they really looked after me while I was there. And it's sort of like I feel like family now. I don't know if they feel the same, but
Yep.
It's pretty cool that I can work with them and then help out others as well.
Yep. So you just started off going there helping out with smoothies and
That's
bow
right,
motor,
yeah.
and then and are you helping them out with anything else, or just mainly the off road side of KRE?
Look, I'd like to tell you, but I have to kill you. Sorry. No. There's no secrets, man. Yeah, like yeah. Hopefully, there's a future with us. Like I genuinely like to continue.
Yeah.
Just to be able to access all of that stuff. Like I'm in Toowoomba, it's only an hour and a half down to them, and just to work with them or help out and just just get amongst it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one thing I will say about Mickey B is if he doesn't know the answer to something, he will hunt and dig and chase it down until he gets there and knows exactly what he's looking for. So one of the other things that you touched on, just probably going back a little bit, was the Outback Challenge there when you talk about that car that was relatively brand new. Did you were you mucking around with the shocks? You said you had bypass shocks, and
Yeah, they were just oh gee, to be honest, I can't remember if they were 2s or 2.5s, but
what brand?
I cannot recall, to be honest. Yeah, like you lose a few brain cells along the way, as you know.
Well, I've got to have some to start off with to lose some. So
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever's left. Yeah, but yeah, to be honest, we really didn't touch much internally. We just did a few tubes or whatever, but it was fine for what we are doing. Like limited travel in a shorty, like only had a couple inch lift and like 37 Cymexes and that. Yeah, so it's not really the big long flowing sort of stuff that you have in the off-road race, and completely, not completely different kettle of fish, but same principles. But it got us through, and the truck's still in the shed. I was talking to Crimo back down at Lomead race last year, and yeah, he's done a fair bit more since that, and sort of I've been away off the scene for a fair bit, and he's still poking away, but she's still in the shed, and it's been stretched a bit further now, and it's to be continued pretty much.
Yep.
But,
So has been stressed. So you mentioned Crimo there. He and the 3 car there. He's tied in with running. Is it Raw Revolutionary Off Road Racing Events?
ROE or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I've been catching up with the last 2 years down at Lomead again, and he goes down there and helps out, and they do a good job. Like he gets around with the motorbike and that, and sets the tracks up and officiates it and helps out at night, and Yeah, they got a pretty tight crew down there, and old Libby and that, and
Yes.
Moscow and that,
Yep.
and all their other helpers and sponsors and that. Like, it's a pretty tight show down there at Lomé. It's pretty cool.
Yes. Yep.
Last year was a pretty big year, coming out of COVID and that sort of stuff.
Yep. Obviously one of their first events back after sort of getting out of the COVID bubble, people allowed to travel.
Yeah, so last year wasn't as big as the year before, actually.
Oh, interesting.
And it was pretty hectic. People got pretty loose. It's
By people, do you mean Mickey B?
Everyone contributes, to be honest.
Yes. It's a team effort.
And off-road racing, it's cool. Winch challenges are cool. We've spoken about it before, myself and your brother, and they're two different crews, but at the end of the day, people are just getting amongst it, enjoying themselves, doing the best they can with what they can, getting their families out there, and money comes into the towns as well, and people travel, make a weekend out of it, like travel up from Toowoomba to go to it or whatever. People come from like Mackay and Townsville, stuff like that, and a lot of locals from Rocky, Gladstone, Calliope, people from Brisbane. There was even the boys from TJM Toowoomba there as well, in that 3-car team, and it's just a pretty cool event with the 3-car. But even Libby was saying next year they hope to run like a single car series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep. So of that,
separate to that event.
So totally separate, not within the 3-car. Yeah, because the 3-car is usually in November.
Yeah, that's right. So they've been running that for
a long
time now. So like you sort of keep that event there, but then sort of bring in that single car event. Herding a few goats, but they're sort of keeping control of the weeds and that, so the cattle can get around. But it's really cool in the creeks and all that. And even last year, like the creeks were flowing. So as you know, in the Winch Challenge series, people like to
love the
keep
water.
the fluids up.
Yes.
Yeah, and with the water flowing, there's sort of shenanigans in the creek with blow up toys and jumping out of trees. And
well, that's one of the great things. Yeah, one of the great things about Clarkie is that water course, I guess, is probably the right description for it, right at the campsite
like
there.
You got free reign there, and like they got the big creek there with the diving board and the swings out of the trees, and the water level's been pretty low last 2 years. I mean, like 4 or 5 years ago, the thing was nearly full. So
but not to take anything away from it. I mean, you were saying AB was down there with his kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, me and AB, we had the blow up toys and inflatables and that, and we sort of had a bit of a belly
Ruben
flop
and Walt,
challenge.
man.
Yeah, good old Ruben and Walt, man.
Yep.
Actually caught up with him, Savi, took the Unimog around to catch up with him. It was the first time I took the Unimog following just a few little creeks and hills, and had the boys in the front while AB was doing a bit of camera footage, and we had her flexed out with the diff locks in. And old Unimog didn't disappoint at all.
Hey, that's the go. Now, why don't you run us through a few of the specs of this bad boy? Because I was talking to you last night on the phone as you were traveling up from what do you say, 42-inch tires factory?
They're like 46 or 48, something like that.
46-inch tires factory.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a 20-inch rim.
Big pimping.
Yeah, pretty solid. I'll split rims, but yeah, you can obviously do the mods with the bead locks and the bigger, wider tires and that. But yeah, they come at a price. Those tires at like $2,700 each. And there's a lot of mods you can do on that, but this little weapon here, like even on the dash, it says it can forward 1,200 water before you actually have to engage four-wheel drive. And when it engages four-wheel drive, it actually pressurizes the axles, so no water's ingress.
Yeah, righto. Yeah. So it's built really to cross deep water.
Yeah, so basically they're when they were originally built by Mercedes, the Unimog, and they were built as an actual tractor, like a farm tractor. So it's got 8 speeds, high and low range, which is included in that, and basically it's got a forward reverse lever as well, so you can do reverse as quick as you can do forward.
So in theory, in the Unimog, you could do 85 k's an hour in reverse.
Yeah, but hang on.
Hold up. Hold the show. I'm just a
even
dumb. I'm
even in
just
the
a dumb
Ford
wacky.
at 85, it's hang on.
Yeah. Coffee. Yeah.
But
I was-
like 85s, it's max. Like I only turn it like 2700. I think its red line's like 2850 or whatever. But yeah, it's sort of ride's pretty good. But you know, a bit more weight on it to help that bounce, especially with a cab over.
yes.
But being coil sprung and all that, and it's triangulated torsion bar suspension, it's pretty cool.
It's a weapon, mate. This is actually the closest I've ever got to a Unimog, so I'm pretty excited to see it at this point in time, and even more excited to go for a little bit of a burn in it.
Yep.
Maybe a bit later on, we might have to go up and trash DC's paddock with it.
Straight up to Orange Bowl.
Yeah, or the Super Bowl. We won't get there fast, but that's very cool what you're saying about the fact that it pressurizes the axles so that you don't have an issue with ingress of water.
Yes.
How does it do that?
So basically, it's basically a truck, like a heavy rigid truck, and it has an onboard air system for the braking system, which pretty much air over hydraulics on this one. So it doesn't actually have air boosters like a normal road truck, but it basically does that. So it's got the air supply for your high and low range gears, your park brake release, your trailer release, even for your engine braking. But it basically uses that system and trickles a bit of air into the axles to keep it positively pressurized. So if you do have a leaking seal or the quench of water, if you do forward water when it's hot, it doesn't
Cool
suck.
too quickly and suck it in.
That's
Yes.
the contraction. Yeah, so it doesn't suck that stuff in, so you don't get any water in the oil.
Yep. Off-road machine. So what's the plan for this big girl, Mickey B?
Oh, look, the plan is probably to go chiropractor tomorrow. Because I've done a few Ks in the last 2 days.
Yes.
But yeah, no major plans. Like you see them all getting around. They're pretty cool with all the campers on the back, and that was sort of a bit of a long-term goal. But at the moment, it's sort of just a pickup truck for stuff at the moment. But I actually went to bring up a motorbike for my brother yesterday, but couldn't get the motorbike started, and
couldn't get it onto the back.
Like I bought ramps and that, but like it was too far from my house to get to like a loading ramp. But like literally a normal highway truck is like 900 to a meter high.
Yes.
Whereas this is like up to my shoulder.
Yep.
Which is just, it just couldn't happen at the last minute yesterday. So
Yep. Just, I love it, mate. Like I said, this is the first time I've actually ever seen one up close and personal, and I reckon it's just an absolute beast of a thing, mate. The poor old Y62's parked over there, and it's scared. It's not sure what's going on.
Actually, where is the Y62? I heard you were going to be pressurizing the combustion chambers.
Yeah. Where'd you hear that?
Just a little birdie told me.
I tell you what, Mickey B, there's not much you don't hear. Yes. Yeah, that is true. There is a plan to make Mum's shopping trolley a little bit faster. So I got to talk to Sandy. I mean, she is the boss. It's her car. So I've got to ask if it's all right. But I don't know, you might have to sneak up on weekend and spend a weekend in the shed with me, and we'll get it going. And don't they say it's better to ask for forgiveness rather than for permission?
Do not talk to me about that.
Well, moving on then. We'll move on to the next. One of the things we're interested in is you, like you said, you explained about what you do with Smoothie and with Bo and that. We're just wondering, where do you see the next big progression in the sport? Like we've got the full size trucks coming in now. So like I was genuinely shocked by the size of Paul's G6 and Bo's Mason truck. Obviously a lot bigger than the 6100 trucks that Bo had before.
Yep.
You know, Greg Gartner's truck, Billy's truck, stuff like that. Do you think that as we progress next year, the 7 liters come in? Do you think the 7 liter in the truck will, and also in the pro buggies, like the pro buggies are allowed to run 7 liter as well? Do you think that as we step up that size and cubic capacity, we'll start to see bigger and bigger trucks start to land here in Australia?
To be honest, I'm not sure. Just from what like people say, like it's same as like Bo was talking, and you've been talking. You get to that 7 liter, you might get that extra, say, 150, 200 horsepower. You get a bit more torque with the longer throw of the crank and stuff like that. It'll come down to bigger truck, bigger engine, but it still comes down to driver too, to be honest.
Yep, for sure.
Being able to still keep that package within the RPM range of those heavily loaded trucks, because to be honest, I don't know how much heavier they are. They're definitely bigger when we got them in the shed compared to like Bo's Geyser and then the new Mason there sitting, and then we got Smoothies beside it. Like they're beautiful.
Because Smoothies is a 6100 truck, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically nearly the same as Billy's and Bo's and all those sort of trucks that were built within the last, say, 10 years, being the 6100 and that. And then they get into the new Mason. It's obviously a little bit wider, a little bit longer, obviously a little bit heavier, stuff like that. And it's packages, the way these things handle, different seating positions, all that sort of stuff. And it all comes together at the end of the day, I guess. And with the development of these weapons over in America and also the people in Australia here that are building stuff, it's constantly evolving and all these new little things. And, you know, even parts and stuff like that. Parts are a big drama at the moment, like getting parts for engines or axles, and with these new Masons when they come in and the new four-wheel drive things, like getting your head around all that sort of stuff. And you know, because obviously all that sort of stuff's proprietary to each builder, and obviously you'll have to deal with them and wait times on that sort of stuff. It's not as if you can just ring up your Super Cheap and say, you know, order this sort of thing.
I want an oil filter for a Mang Mang Commodore.
Yeah, just couple of Z9s, Ricos, and she'll be right, you know.
Yep. Obviously, that's the problem you're starting to deal with. Very customized parts for these trucks and these buggies and stuff like that. But yeah, so you're saying that the particularly with the trucks, the 7 liters will be a little bit of an advantage, but probably not the.
It probably evens out a bit because obviously you got a bigger truck. Everyone's obviously running 40s now.
Yes.
You're sort of at that point where they've gone from the 5 stud to the 6 stud to beef up, you know, your wheel hubs and stuff like that, just to maintain those bigger tires and heavier wheels. And
because that was the drama that Billy had at Fink, didn't he? He lost a rim and a tire on Sunday on the way down, and I think he was saying essentially the 40 is just too big a rim for his 5 stud, and so the next mod that they're looking at that making is going to that 6 stud to handle the 40s.
Yeah, right. So we had similar sort of drama. We had a wheel come loose on the rear, but it made it down the other end. We Reese hooked in and sorted that hub out. Got us going. Got him and Smoothie going again for the next day.
Yes.
But it comes down to two, like these wheels have done X amount of races, been tightened up so many times, and like it's an aluminium wheel on a steel stud, a steel nut. You know, nothing's quite perfect anymore, and everything moves that little bit. So I actually had one of the wheels repaired the other day by a local engineering shop, and then sort of cleaned up the others and put new spacers on to try and eliminate those sort of wear issues and stuff like that. But it's all those sort of things that with our races, because we're doing like wheels every 200 Ks or 400 Ks, you're putting freshies on the rear, whereas in like the American races, they'll do like a couple 100 miles.
Yes.
Whereas we're always sort of touching stuff and checking stuff, like the human factor comes in as well, you know?
Yep.
So there's all those little things that add up, and before you know it, you have a problem, and you try and learn from it. And, you know, it's basically the same as like Marcin was saying a couple of weeks ago about, you know, this sort of points where you're just like, we just need new stuff.
Yes.
Stuff's good, but you just don't know.
Yep.
It's fresh stuff, and, you know, you might change things out after a season or 2 seasons.
Yes.
But you just have to do it.
Yep. So like Mick was talking about the fact that he needed to change out
lifters.
That's right. Geez, good memory, Mickey B. Yeah, he needed to change out lifters, and one of the things that, so what you're saying is you believe, particularly with the 5 studs and the 40-inch tires and stuff like that on the trucks, that your rims basically become a throwaway, or like they have a lifespan.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, it's a cycle. Yeah, yeah. I guess because we touch them so much. Like you go to Prologue, you put the 37s on
Yes.
without having to touch the underdrive.
Yep.
With the Turbo 400. So the boys around in the 37s, and then come race, we'll put the 40s on. So you got human factor there as well.
Yep.
Undoing and tightening up stuff. Like,
Yep.
you can only do up a thread so many times, and then yield a stud or a thread.
Yep.
To its point so many times.
Yeah, and I guess, like you said, Fink is a very busy weekend as well. Like you said, the tires come on and off, the rims come on and off a lot of times. So you're right. You might get to the place. I'm not saying it is what happened in the race for Billy or for Smoothie, but you're saying, yeah, you could have accidentally missed not tightening up one, and then that has a bit of a knock on effect. Well, Mickey B, I actually got a bit of a question. He's not here to ask it himself, but he's making me ask. He said he wants to. It's from Danny Curran on Facebook. He said he wants to. What does Mickey B think about going the other way? Would a super lightweight build be something that could work specifically in Oz, say 650 horsepower and 1,300 pound?
Yeah, definitely. But as we're talking, everything has a cycle. You build a lighter frame or whatever. Obviously, these trucks, majority of the trucks we have here in Australia, the geysers and stuff like that, are sort of built in America for their conditions, bigger, heavier sort of stuff to do those longer races. We do a lot of shorter stuff, I guess, but at the end of the day, like, these geysers are like, some of them are 10 years old. You might weld a few cracks here or there, mainly in the suspension and stuff, but like chassis, you haven't had to do much. Like, I know Bo and Drew early in the days put a lot more rigging in, like especially their rear end in the chassis to support their control arms and stuff like that. And like, you see that now in all the geyser trucks. Those little sort of things, like, you could probably reduce weight a bit, but it's sort of that point where like the Americans do those big races and fully strip it down because they have like bare chassis to inspect cracks and that, whereas some of ours are powder coated, some aren't. So it's sort of, do you pull them down every race and attend to every crack if it's a lot lighter?
Yes.
Or you just build it heavy or not really heavy, but to be able to handle like a couple of seasons and then
yes,
sort of just keep a consistency.
Yep.
Or just go like few people I won't mention their names, but Hell for Leather.
Yes. Greg Gardner. No.
Bo Robinson.
Coffee. No, it is that interesting site, like conversation to have about off-road racing. We were talking about, it's probably one of the only motorsports in the world where you actually add a little bit of weight to make your car work better through the rough and stuff like that. I mean, even in the real world, we know it. Some of our work utes. I do work for a company, and they've got a couple of 200 series, and then they just recently brought a DMW chopped, lengthened 200 series dual cab, and it was actually much easier to get the suspension working properly on it and get it riding better over, sort of consistently over all surfaces because of that extra weight and extra length in the wheelbase.
Yeah, so like I've I've spoken to a few boys in Toowoomba because that's where I'm based, and like basically with even the dual cabs and that, you've literally got to go that 650 mil extension if you want to carry weight. Otherwise, those things cannot tow at all.
Yep. Otherwise, what do they just get a bit tweaky, a bit uncomfortable?
Yeah. So like obviously with the 79s and that, like the track correction difference between the front and rear plays a role.
Did you mention
as well.
79? Danny Curran's not here to say game changer when we talk about a 79. So
I only deal with 76s.
I like it because you've got a 76, don't you?
Yeah, she's been a little taxi for the last 2 months out at Alice Springs, and did a bit of taxi service for Bo, bringing his expired fresh Mason back from down Apachula, which was pretty cool to tow that. Rather expensive bit of jewelry behind the cruiser, but I was on my best behavior.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you essentially behind your cruiser, you were towing half a cruiser in value.
Quarter of that times
and
so many
and actually,
zeros.
in all honesty, you can probably get a new Mason quicker than you can get a new 70 series at the moment.
Yeah, righto. I could probably wait, to be honest.
Oh, I love it. But sorry to hijack your conversation there. Yeah, but you were saying about the extra length and the 650 mil in the wheelbase just makes it more stable, makes it more happy and a bit more consistent in its suspension.
Yeah, it's probably the same as like you got to compare it like a lot of people do. Go the Dodge Rams or the Chevys or the Fords. They're just a long, big truck, wider truck. Have got the torque and horsepower to start with,
Yep.
and the drivetrain to do it. And like those animals, I don't know what they can tow, but they can tow like 6.5 tons straight up.
Yep.
Without even questioning it.
Yep. Yep.
And like they'll idle along at like 1,000 RPM.
Yes.
Like you said, a 200 or a 79 or a 76 up, you're looking at 150, 200 grand to set them up properly. And but at the end of the day, like you're at that same price as a brand new pickup from America.
Yep.
It just depends on where you want to go. Whether, like, to be honest, I don't know how the Chevys or the American pickups go off road, but a lot of the Aussies are right into the cruisers and their off road ability, and pour a lot of money into it, and that's cool. And like people can do whatever they want. Good on them. And like I'd love to do it myself, but I'm not that much off road anymore at the moment. But more into sort of towing services, really. But
Exhibit A, right behind us, is that something maybe in the future that you see for Mickey B's R&D? Maybe
it could live at Alice Springs.
Yeah. Maybe it enclosed back. A big generator or some solar panels and an inverter and a bit of a motor.
Probably just picking up broke ones. A few ramps at the back.
Yes, coffee.
Probably a tilt ramp, so it's easy. But yeah, it's just one of those options. All the boys with these new trucks, they're looking at different options. Like obviously these new ones are bigger and wider, can't really fit in the current transporters and that.
Yes.
And it's sort of at the point.
So does that mean? Sorry, yeah, that's a fair point. So like Bose Mason, does that mean that it won't fit in the truck that OBR has at this point in time?
Yeah, it got to Ellis in their truck.
Yes.
It had to have like fully stripped and 37s.
So
and
no
stuff
guards
like
or
that,
anything like that on
just
it.
to get it in. But like with their setup, it's a pretty big show. It's a really cool show, and they run a tight ship. Good old Drew and the boys do a really good job.
Yep.
But sort of like we sort of tour around as a bit of a team, Smoothie and Bo.
Yes.
And it's a pretty big show, cool show, awesome show. But I think we got sort of access to like a double or a B double.
Yes.
In the future, just to sort of get them together. And then like we do a lot of myself and Reese and Drew and Brady and Jakey and the boys, like driving the transporters to and from their bases and each race or wherever we do maintenance. So it's sort of the point where teamed up, and it's sort of a point you put them on like that big A double or B double and sort of hire another driver. So it takes a bit of load off us guys, and someone who's a professional at that sort of stuff.
Professional at what he does, for sure.
Yeah, and good on those blokes that live on the road all the day. Like, I've been doing it for a little bit, and like I was saying today, like in the last 4 months, I've travelled with the racing team, done just under 15,000 Ks.
Oh, crazy, man. Like we said, there's some people that probably don't do 15,000 Ks in a year.
Yeah, that's right. But then you get the professionals, like the good blokes, or all those blokes and females that drive trucks, like they'll punch out 1,000 a day.
Yep.
30,000 a month.
Within the logbook.
Yeah, it depends on which territory or WA. Yeah.
Yep. So your what does your schedule look like coming up for you now? So you stayed behind in Alice Springs for a little bit. You prepped
we did
Smoothies truck.
Did an extra 2 weeks there after that. Prepped Smoothies and helped out the OBR team with their sort of stuff with the old Mason, and give Drew and Brady and Jakey a hand with removal of the expired engine in the new Mason, and just a bit of a clean up and whatever our plans are to move to the next race. Like we've got smoothies prepped up, so probably in 3 to 4 weeks' time, I'll head back to Alice, pick it up, and head down to the next race. So it's there,
which is Love Day.
Yeah, I think Love Day. Yeah,
yep.
From Alice down to that, and then see what happens at that race, and then probably take it either back to Alice or back up to Queensland and prep it so we can go back down to the High Marsh one.
Yes.
And,
Rainbow.
Yep.
And then it's back over to Western Australia,
and
which is
Beau's
and Smoothie's hometown, aren't they? They are Western Australians.
Yeah, so Beau and his team have always been there, I think. Smoothie resides there now, I'm pretty sure, but he's a Queenslander.
Yes.
Originally. But he's over there as well now, and we've sort of been working out of their shed and teaming together out of there. But it'd be good to get back over to Kalgoorlie. Been there a few times on my travels and that.
But for the race?
No, I haven't been to the race.
This will be the first time for the race, yep.
I missed it last year because of COVID and that. Like, I couldn't afford to do a 2-week quarantine there, then come home, do another 2 weeks.
Yes.
So Reese looked after him back then, and Smoothie and the boys had a race over there, and it'd be good to get over there because apparently it's a really cool race, man.
Yeah. A lot of people have said it's one of those awesome races that just has to be on the bucket list. It's sort of really picked up and taken over from where Gas Dash sort of left off a little bit. So because Kalgoorlie is another one of those awesome events which has the bikes and the cars. So it's
pretty cool. It's pretty accessible. Like, it's only just off that
well, it's not far out of Kalgoorlie, I believe. Essentially, you can stay in Kalgoorlie and travel to and from the race every day quite easily.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware. But even if people are traveling to Perth or who reside in Perth, like, it's 600 k's out of town, and not really that much off, that main road heading west.
Yep.
So
Perth to Kalgoorlie is only about 600 k's.
I think it's just over. It's like going from Rocky to Brisbane, really. Yeah.
Yeah, which is nothing.
Yeah.
So if you listen at home and you live in Perth, get your ass to Kalgoorlie.
Yeah, and the boys rave about it, and it's pretty open track, and it's got so many more opportunities. The boys tell me Kalgoorlie's pretty cool.
Mining's pumping at the moment. COVID's dead.
There's plenty of people there, and I've been there a few times, and the Royal Exchange has been good to me, to be honest.
Well, we're petitioning it. I mean, I don't want to pump my own tires up, but I'm willing to do it because that's the kind of guy I am. But this podcast has got some pulls. We got the petition going about Bojangles, and now it's open, or will be open. Yeah. So we're getting it done. We want to start a bit of a movement that we reckon there should be like a desert challenge series going on. So I reckon Fink, the Don River, and Kalgoorlie should join forces. And become like a bit of a desert tri series, and we crown a king of the desert.
Could you do a best in the desert?
Oh, well, it'd have to be like pretty good in the desert. We couldn't do best in the desert. You know what I mean?
Aussie desert.
Yeah. There might be a little bit of licensing dramas there with best in the desert. But the other one I said the other day is I reckon we could have an Ironman series. So Fink on a bike and a car.
Yeah.
Don on a bike and a car,
and
then Kalgoorlie on a bike and a car,
Coffee.
and we could pretty much crown the hardest man or woman in off-road racing in Australia.
Yeah, righto. That's that would be a feat.
It would, to do it once. Dan and I were in shock. Obviously with our commentary gig at Fink this year, we had a bit of info coming in. We were shocked that there were 3 people doing the double this year at Fink, 2 girls and a guy.
To be honest, I did not have any idea what's that. I had no idea or info that was actually happening, but that's amazing.
Oh, I reckon it's time that Fink actually nominates it or recognizes it as a class, and we crown a winner. So your time from your bike and your car combined, and we crown an overall Iron Man or Iron Woman.
Yeah, righto. You probably have to give trumps to the originator of this too.
Hey, Billy Go-Getty's, mate. The
man.
The mad dog himself. Yeah, it was a bit of a theory that was thrown around in Central Queensland fires every once in a while, and then we talk about it again. Imagine, I mean, like we said, it's a possibility. He's running out of time, so he'll have to throw the leg over the bike again pretty soon. But Imagine the year if we see Toby go 1-1.
Uh, yep.
That would just be mind blowing to see someone win the car and the bike category in the same year. Like it's mad props to him for winning the car and the bike category in different years.
Yep.
But like that's just a man that has, talent dripping everywhere.
Not biased or anything, but to be honest,
Oh, don't start
the man
about
for
truck.
the job.
Nah, absolutely.
Actually, I recall you boys saying to me the other day, because as
here we go, we're about to get thrown under the bus.
Do or don't know, the Karens are buggy dorks.
People know it. People know it.
And I love a big old lounge chair myself. And they actually said to me the other day, I don't know whether they're called the trophy trucks because they never get them, but
got to eat a bit of humble pie on that one, mate.
What's happened to Fink a few times?
Yeah, that's right, Toby. He's pretty much unbeatable at the moment. He pretty much is unbeatable on that track at the moment. Like that's 2 years in a row that he's gone pole position, so fastest in qualifying, fastest down, set a record, and
the whole way.
The whole way. That's right. Yeah, it's
whole job done.
Super impressive, and what like we talked about it previously is one of the most impressive things is people aren't whinging or complaining about it. The talk around the pits in the cars is, how do we step our game up so that we can beat this guy?
Yeah, no, it's good, and he's a bit of a magnet, old Tony. Tony, yeah, good old Tony Rice. But like he deserves it, mate. Like him on a motorbike and just talking to him in the back blocks and stuff like that. Anytime I catch up with him, or when I was first introduced to him, he's just a genuine bloke.
Yeah. Yep.
Down to earth and just there for a job. And, he's got everything, like really good family and people supporting him. But he's just so genuine and makes it happen. And he takes himself too. And he's just there to enjoy it and make the best of it. And
we only got to look at
part of it.
You only got to look at the lineup that was there to get Toby Price's autograph on Thursday night and Friday night. And mate, every person that come through, he was just as enthusiastic to be able to, get a photo with that kid or make that dream.
Definitely.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like he's great for the sport, and it's always the way. Like we talk about it. I was only talking about the other day when Dave and Shannon were at the peak of their powers. Buggy Dorks, Gundawindi. I remember going to that race, and then, it was Bo, Travis, Dave, and Shannon that was sort of, it forced everyone else to step their game up. You saw guys come through the packs like AJ, Glenn Owen, Matty Owen. Like you just had this influx of people that got faster and faster and only made the racing better and better. Like, so I'm excited to see if Toby continues to race. The thing that made me super excited is the fact that the truck was in good condition when he got back to Alice Springs.
Yeah.
And one of the first statements out of his mouth is, well, I'm keen to pack this truck up and go and race another track.
Yep.
So excited to see the fact that we're going to see Toby in that Tisco truck, not only at Fink, but we're going to start to see it at another race. We might see him at, like, Gundy's not far down the track for him. Maybe we'll see him over at Kalgoorlie. Hopefully, we'll see
even
him
last
at Don
time
River.
He was a Gundy in the little side by side.
Yes.
He was in the top. What was he, third or fourth? 2020 or 19 was it?
19, I think it was, mate. Yeah. He was inside the top 20 in a Can-Am.
Yeah, like he was smashed. He was basically in the lineup at the end of the day, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from memory, I was sitting up there with your brother in the commentary box.
Yep.
You weren't there, but
here we go.
I recall Toby coming in without a sign on the top of his roof.
So you reckon it had been over?
Oh, he might have just gone under a low branch or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes those roof numbers aren't exactly bolted on that well.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know, it's just a consumable or lose a bit of weight along the way.
Yes,
I mean?
Smart. Like somehow those truck boys,
trophy truck bonnets,
they magically lose bonnets.
Yeah,
exactly right. Or rear guards seem to be the ones that go missing a fair bit as well.
It's surprising, like last year and this year. You used to back in the day seeing a truck come in because they take a bit of a wide track or a bit of a short track.
Yep.
Coming in without bonnets or rear guards and that. There's quite a lot come in not a bad condition last year and this year, to be honest.
Yes, at Fink?
At Fink, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, one of the crazy things at Fink, mate, was the the fuel burn this year. So, like,
tell me about it.
you guys would have been in the same boat, I assume. But
Yeah, we basically had it brimming full day,
yes,
both days, and like we got it back to the shop, and I literally only got 19 liters out of the tank,
yep, yep,
and I think the boys were sort of running a bit lean in those last couple of berms.
yep. So they backed it off a little bit because Greg Gartner was one that had fuel issues. Like he
Yep.
actually stopped coming into the stadium
Right.
and lost a few positions and a fair bit of time there. And then talking to Bill as well, he said that he went over the 35K June, and she let a bit of a pop out, and obviously because of his dramas on Sunday, he decided to just take the foot off the gas a little bit and sort of 85% at home.
Yep.
So those 6100 trucks, are they 270 liters of fuel?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So
a few of the boys have bigger tanks, like Bo, Billy, stuff like that, do have bigger tanks. But the race fuel we're using now, like we burn quite a bit, and if you get down to that, say 0.7 of a kilometre per litre, you're just
so
like
crazy.
you're not going to make it
Yep.
on 240 k's, to be honest.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but we pretty much lucked out. Like we brimmed it like right up before we took off, but we also had a.
So sorry, so essentially in the morning you filled it full, warmed the truck up, drove it down to the start line to come home, or to go to Alice or come home from Alice, and then filled it full of fuel again at the start line.
Yeah, I'll say it was brimming at the start line.
Yep.
Yeah, but we did have a closed loop lambda problem, so we turned that off. So we actually probably lucked out in that part. So we basically where the Motec takes over and deals with its air fuel ratio. If we had that turned on, we probably would have run out, to be honest. So we turned that off and just followed the base map.
Yes.
And just dealt with it accordingly.
Yep.
Whereas when you go live in the closed loop, it'll sort of adjust fuel positive or negative, depends on our tune. We're like 10% either side.
Yes.
So we sort of, one of those things that fail sort of probably helped us out, to be honest.
Yes.
And got us to the end.
Yeah. So you were saying you had about 19 liters of fuel left when you got home. Yeah, which
was basically pumping out of the tank with the actual fuel pump in it.
Yes.
And obviously they got a little trap door in the center to supply the fuel mat. But, if 19 litres across a tank that's, say, 1,200 wide by 900 the other way,
yep,
you're basically 3 or 4 mil deep of fuel in the bottom.
So without giving away too many secrets there, I heard you mention fuel mat. So the truck runs a fuel mat, one of those Holly fuel mats rather than
sorry, Holly, who's that?
Yes.
Motec, man.
Motec fuel mat. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So it's basically all Motec electronics, the PDM,
yes,
dashes, the engine controller.
Yep.
All the CAN bus stuff.
Yes.
And you basically.
So Holly make a fuel mat now as well.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
You're talking about the fuel mat.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, not fuel map. MAP. MAT. Yes. Yep.
Sorry.
So that's just something I'm interested in because it's something we've looked into. So it eliminates the need for a surge tank and everything like that.
So ours and as far as everyone else I know have like a little dam in the center with trapdoors, but it basically runs like the Holly hydrodynamic or hydroscopic mat in it. So basically when it's wet, it can supply a large surface area to the one pickup.
Yes.
And we still run that in the center in the fuel dam with the trapdoors. So it's sort of got a bigger surface area for, when you're tipping it in or moving or whatever, when that fuel moves around. Apply back on the top of that as well to supply as much fuel as you can to keep that fuel rail system fully charged. Because if you get air in it, it'll drop off your fuel pressure from, say, 54 or 56 PSI. The Motecs can deal with that positive or negative either side of that.
Yep.
But you want to try and keep it in its parameter.
Yes.
Charged full of fuel, because if you start going, it'll still maintain the pulse width modulation on the injectors for a certain amount of fuel for your air fuel ratio. But if you go lean of that, basically these engines are that high strung. If you add not enough fuel, your combustion temperature goes back up, and basically you'll just melt pistons, valves, score the bores, and then it's all over.
Yep. So one of the great things about these fuel mats is they also in the same deal, they don't need to be fully covered. Like my understanding of them is they don't need to be fully covered. Like they could, if you're say a little bit of surge going around a corner and say, the fuel slops up to the side and only 3/4 of it is covered, it will still supply very good fuel to the fuel pump without aeration or anything like that.
So it doesn't really need a depth. It relies on a larger surface area.
Yes.
And basically the hydroscopics of it all, when it's wet, it'll let the fuel through, but when it's not wet, it'll close all those sections.
Yes.
So it uses what is available
Yes.
to be sucked up to those pumps as priority.
Yep. Technology is a pretty cool thing, mate.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep. And like you said, it's no different to you talk about the PDM and everything like that, like all that Motec equipment in it. It's unbelievable the technology that are in these cars. I guess we talk about them being essentially unlimited vehicles in this day and age, and it is one of the only sports in the world where when we talk about an unlimited class, they are truly unlimited. There is no other than a motor size, I guess, so not truly unlimited, and we're not going to get into that debate tonight. That might be a later on a round table. We might get a few more players in the game involved in this one, and we might have to do a special just on that alone. But yeah, it's one of those interesting ones where any form of technology is allowed to be run in these cars as long as you fit within that motor. And yeah, some of the things that Motec are coming up with, and other computer companies as well, is second to none. That the PDM that Nick's talking about is a power distribution module, and it's actually CAN bus controlled, and it will automatically switch all your electronic devices on or off for you. So I guess one of the simple great devices, or one of the great simple uses for it is, for example, if say you store your car while you're racing, when you go to start that car, it will, so you can get as much battery power as you need to your starter, or as you require to your starter motor. It'll automatically turn off your lights, your fans, your blowers, any electronic devices that are controlled through the PDM. And then once the car, say, starts and idles for 10 seconds and knows that everything's healthy and within a certain set of parameters from the Motec, it'll actually start to repower everything again. So yeah, in the heat of the moment, you're not trying to crank your car over while your lights are on, your blowers are on and everything like that. Yeah, technology is just one of those absolutely amazing things that is just continuing to move more and more forward in off-road racing. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So Mickey B, I'm going to throw it out here to you. Unlimited budget. Mickey B's got all the time in the shed, everything he needs to do. He's building himself an off-road race car. What are you building?
Unimog. Oh man,
I'm going to steal a leaf out of your book right now.
Yeah, copy. To be honest, man, I love trucks. Buggies are cool, but at the end of the day, just the thump of a proper V8 truck, and down the road, just hitting whoops, just dancing around, dropping a few legs, stuff like that, and just basically the body sitting flat. Look, I'd love to be able to do my own project from scratch. I'd need to spend a lot more time on the CAD. I do a bit of CAD, but to be able to put the man hours in to build something specifically to what I've seen around, or maybe even ideas I've got myself, which could be different to other people. And there's a lot more smarter people than me out there building those trucks, and it obviously proves, because obviously I haven't built one. They're doing it and have success and stuff like that. I'd honestly would love to do my own thing from scratch, but obviously use a lot of ideas that other people have.
Yep.
But it would definitely be a big lounge chair, man.
A truck?
Yes.
Yep. So you probably touched on a little bit there, but I did hear you talking about it. But a V8, or would you go a turbo 3.5 liter?
Excuse me. Probably front and rear mount. V8s.
2 V.
I know it's been done before, but
Stealing a leaf out of that RPM geyser.
double or nothing, baby.
I like it. I like it. So, is that a loophole in cams? They've said you can only have a 7-liter engine, but they didn't say you could have 2 7-liter. They couldn't not have 2 7-liter engines.
Yeah, well, I suppose how do you specify it? I'd probably have to talk to a lady I know in Alice Springs who's a lawyer about logistics of 7-liter, but one drives the front, one drives the rear.
Yes. Yep. I like it.
There's no specification saying it has to, power the whole truck on one engine.
Yep. And so then, so we've landed on V8 truck. Certain gearbox. What gearbox would you run?
Oh,
Turbo
man.
400, Albans, Mason-Matic.
To be honest,
Fortin make a gearbox for trucks as well.
To be honest, because I've never actually raced one, like I just warm them up. That's about it. So I've never hit anything or raced one.
All I was going to say is you've got to service them. So you've probably got a good idea about the time and cost and damage that gets done.
The 400s are pretty reliable. You put the right gear in them, you keep the maintenance up to them, the right torque converters, keep an eye on your temperatures, your shear factor on your oil. The 400s are pretty cool. They are quite limited. Like you run the drop box on the rear, stuff like that. If you've got a pretty good budget, like they do cost money, but when you step up into like a sequential, full custom Albans or whoever else does them, I'm not sure. There's a few mobs out there. Like the money does add up.
Yep.
But having those 6 gears can keep you in your torque range for whatever engine package you've got, or whatever tire or whatever powertrain package you've got in the rear end. It just depends on, people who have money or have experience to decide which way they want to go and can compare it, to be honest.
Yep.
But I think, having the opportunity of like a 6-speed sequential, I know that buggy of yours, what's it?
It'll be a 5.
5-speed. Yeah, 5-speed.
You peanut.
Sorry. No, gammon.
Did you just call my buggy gammon?
No.
Come on, mate.
I mean, I was gammon.
Come
joking.
on, mate.
No, it's not buggy. I gave her a little kiss tonight.
Yeah, good. I was actually a bit nervous to go into the shed to see what was going on in there. There was, I mean, this is live. Like this is going out to Facebook and YouTube right now. So like you've just admitted to your trophy truck mates that you went and had a moment with a pro buggy. Like,
yeah, just my little side girlfriend. Like
your side piece.
They can judge me. It's okay. Side piece is all right. People know about it, but anyway.
I like it. Oh, look, it's a bit different. It's a V8 as well. So good old girl. She's still representing for those V8 pushrod life. We won't talk about the pushrod, but
though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's right. You do have pushrods.
It's the way to go.
They're the same though.
Coffee, but it is a little bit. No, nothing too fancy with overhead cams or anything like that. It's still a single cam under the heads.
Yeah,
that old school mentality. But
it's a bit of a bitzer, I guess.
Yeah. She's a good old girl. But one of the other interesting questions is or thoughts, I guess, is there's Smoothie coming in with the 4-wheel drive truck, and it's just your opinion. I know that they haven't been raced here in Australia or anything like that, but Smoothie's got a 4-wheel drive.
I'm told, yes.
Yes, yeah, obviously. Well, look, it's out there. Well, it's got to be out there. I mean,
Neil, so everyone knows, I have no socials myself.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Sheltered.
Yeah. I just
fed information.
I just had to put that out there for Mick. It's not like some secret because Neil Mason, like Mason Motorsports, has been putting posts up and tagging Brent Smoothie in their Aussie spec 4-wheel drive trophy trucks.
Yeah.
So
I just get shown stuff.
Yeah. So you're not going to get in trouble, mate. You're not letting secrets out of the bag here. But one of the other cool builds at the moment that I'm super interested to see is Danny Brown's got a all-wheel drive Alumacraft buggy getting built. So we're going to have a little bit of a
shout out Swaffy there.
Yeah. Subway,
eat fresh.
Sorry to the people listening at home. There's a lot of in jokes going on, but the Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting battle in the future. We're going to see a a 7 liter powered 4-wheel drive trophy truck. We're going to see a 7 liter powered, because I did get a little bit of info out of Danny Brown the other day. It's a 7 liter getting built for that. So they're going to race it in the States for a bit, and then
Do you know who's building the engine?
I believe Joe Gibbs.
Oh, Gibbo.
Yep. So that's one of those interesting ones as well, man. Like we
Shout
talk.
out to Toyota there.
Yeah. It must be a Toyota base if that's the plan. But oh wow, we've got all the live people coming in with. Hey, we know we've made it, mate. We're actually getting hacked. Not hacked. That's not the right term. But we're getting a few comments on YouTube that are talking about
get him off.
No, not get him off. Actually, more like cheap Tinder and stuff like that. So that's not me. That's not me putting that up, mate. But that's how you know you've made it when
Someone
you're doing
hacked into my phone. Or...
a coffee. But yeah, just interested on your thoughts of, I guess, a little preempt, or where you think the 4-wheel drive. What's the right word I'm looking here? The 4-wheel drive scope in off-road racing is going to lead us.
Look, I'm excited to be a part of it, and been open to a lot of opportunities here. And obviously, with these new trucks coming in, being exposed to them is awesome. To be honest, like I've only off road raced myself, so I can really only go off what other people say. Like, it depends on the track. Like when we were at Pooncarie, like we even changed tire pressures, lowered them right down and stuff, because like the ruts were so deep. It was sort of like Fink, the boys were telling me, like this sort of heavy, like nearly as heavy as Don River race.
Yes.
So, and then, all those little 0.01s or 0.1 of a sec on each corner.
Yep.
When you can not have to speedway into it, I guess.
Yes.
And be able to sort of hug it instead of railing the berm to keep your momentum up, and sort of stay in those ruts with these bigger tires and better suspension now. The all those little ones, they add up. And it's interesting to see, because I haven't been a part of it or had the feeling or really analyzed any data of doing multiple laps on a short course to be able to compare something.
Yes.
Obviously with different drivers it will suit, like people who just point and shoot, whereas people who sort of come from like a motorbike background, used to rail and berms, or hitting apexes and stuff like that, and a bit off-road on-road racing and stuff like that. It sort of comes down to testing and tuning and comparing data.
Yes.
Which will come down to it if someone really wants to compare it or develop whatever they're doing, so they've got a bank of data there to be able to say, look, this is the difference and this is proven, or this is what we're going to try next.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be very interesting with the, that different driving style with 4-wheel drive. I think it's going to be, it's going to suit certain people. Like I, for one, think Shannon Wrench would be amazing in any 4-wheel drive. He always looks like he's going way slower than what he actually is. And then
what's he drive, sorry?
Mate, he's the most winningest driver in off-road racing, and it's a pro buggy.
Oh,
yep.
Sorry.
Yep. So, and mate, I believe he had dramas and still finished in front of a lot of trucks.
Cool.
We're going to wrestle after this, mate. Once the camera go, well, hey, maybe if we get enough money donated on YouTube, we might wrestle on the camera, Mickey B.
Oh, easy.
But I think Shannon.
Hey, enough of wrestling. I'm sick of people trying to wrestle me. In a public scene, to be honest.
Woo! I like it. But yeah, I think his driving style would naturally suit a 4-wheel drive. That very clean style.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, brake, turn in, hit the apex, power out of the corner.
Yep.
And I guess I'd always be interested to see an absolute hellman like Greg Gardner get into an all drive. I don't know whether it would suit his driving style, because one of the things about Greg is he always seems to just carry so much mid corner speed, even in a 2-wheel drive, and he loves one of the things, or I guess I'm just making it up for him, but one of the things I always love watching about of Greg Gartner's driving is he's always backing it into a corner. You know what I mean? Like he's a little bit of a Scandinavian flick here and there. So
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting in the future to see how four wheel drives, whether they become Bo brought it up and said, it's going to be one of those things that once someone does it here in Australia, it's probably going to have to be a case of, if it proves successful, everyone is going to have to do it.
Yep.
And so, like, a four-wheel drive's not really going to be an advantage anymore. It's just going to be what you've got to, because say 10 of the top drivers all have four-wheel drive. It'll just be the norm.
Yep.
And now, it won't be one of those things where it's such a big advantage. But I'm excited. Particularly, I guess the Mason trucks have stolen a lot of attention.
Yep.
Not stolen; they deserve a lot of attention.
They're up there, yeah.
But definitely the under the radar car coming into Australia in the future is Danny Brown with that all-wheel drive Alumacraft. I think it's going to be,
because they are light.
Yes. Yep. It'll have to. It will be lighter than what the truck is.
Yeah.
Still rear engined, everything like that, and the Alumacraft, they've got a couple of four-wheel drive trucks, four-wheel drive buggies in America racing. So they will
For a
be.
buggy.
Yeah. Just had to slip that in. Just when I think we're bonding, Mickey B, you just stick the knife in.
Come on. We're like blood, man.
I like it. But I think the future of off-road racing in Australia is looking pretty exciting. Like we haven't sat stagnant. Like, COVID doesn't seem to have slowed it down a bit. The entry lists are looking huge. We were only talking about how many spectators there were at Fink this year as well. Like it was absolutely. Well, I mean, you did a helicopter fly down the course, mate. So you would have had an absolute blast.
Sorry, that's part of the role.
Yeah.
I actually got forced in the chopper.
You're not a fan of flying?
No. I've done it before and love it, but like my priority is to look after
the truck,
the lounge chair down the other end.
Yep.
But I actually got told to get in it now, and which is twist my arm a little bit.
Did the truck need extra maintenance because they're pushing it so hard to try and keep up to the buggies? Is that the problem? Is that why you had to get down there in a chopper to be there as quick as you could?
Get to the chopper.
I like the way you just ignored my question. Look, it's no different to when Dan's on the podcast. He just ignores my questions anyhow.
Yeah, well, I don't blame him, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
No. It just, it's like, your own kids or whatever. You just want to make sure it's right for the driver and navvy, so they don't have to think about stuff like that.
Yep.
They got a lot of other stuff going on, like recover from the day or talk about the day or, check over their notes for going home or making sure their gear's ready and stuff like that. I just sort of get in the zone and, priority is to obviously have that thing ready for the next day.
Yep.
But, it came to a point where, they were using the chopper and, just basically tools down.
Yep. So do you ever think you'll see yourself step into the navigator seat or anything like that, or?
To be honest, I'd try it, but my heart is definitely in the
maintenance side,
maintenance, engineering, preparation, availability sort of thing.
Well, I guess, I guess when you name your company Mickey B's R&D, that's obviously what really excites you as well. Like making sure that, because I think you probably just threw a bit of a term out there that might confuse a little bit of people. But when you said availability, so you're talking about the fact that the truck is consistent, finishes races, everything, much like how they talk about the availability of a haul truck or something like that in the mining industry.
On a mine site, like they get paid on machinery availability, and like if you've got a machine that's available 90% of the time, you're going to get paid.
Yep.
If you fall behind that, you got to supply your own maintenance pretty much.
Yep.
And I think I recall when you were talking to Mick Marson, he was at like 95% completion rate.
Which is crazy.
Which is cool. Like,
yep.
You add it up, like we do 5 to 6 races a year in the one series. The boys might do others, but when you're talking 5 races and you say 90%, you've completed 3 or 4 races out of 5 or 6.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So if you get that to like completing 5 out of the 6 races, you're smashing it.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Well, talking to that, mate, we got a bit of a question from the viewers at home. They want to know what's your opinion on one of the ideas that we tossed out in our last podcast, which was just Dan and I talking rubbish. Was
Copy.
down and you were a little too quick to say that. No. It's like you were waiting for that opportunity.
I'm just used to being on the radio.
Yeah. Copy. What's your opinion on the think down, like to mix it up a little bit, maybe think down and back in the same day?
Actually, I had a chat with my old man today about that. He joined us quite a few years ago, back in the proper cartel days when we stayed
at the Stewart
Caravan Park. The whole cartel crew was there. Good old Bernie. He's smashed it again this year. I even come back late one night in my cruiser to get back to one of my cabins, and good old Bernie was on the gate as security. Just to make sure everyone was cool. Good on you, Bernie. And the Stewart, the Alice Springs Tourist Park now.
Alice Springs Tourist Park, that's right.
Still an awesome place to stay. But sorry, I actually got lost there.
Yeah, so the question was, what's your opinion on the down and back in one day?
Yeah, right. Like I was saying, I was actually talking to my old man about it today, just from listening to your other conversations and that. Especially like the fact, I think it was either you and yourself and Bo. Sorry, you and yourself.
Yeah.
You and your brother talking to Bo about letting, at least if the motorbikes do it, run down first before the auto division does.
Yes. Yep.
Just so they're not beat up. If they're doing a return in one day, at least the track is pretty similar as they've gone
down. Have they been pre-running? Yep.
Because at the end of the day, like you guys have the same opinion. I'm sure a lot of people do. My old man as well. Like at the end of the day, the motorbike riders are the champions or the winners.
Oh, they're the mad dogs.
Brutal, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely brutal. Like I've pre-run that in me cruiser just for fun. Stuff happens, but
not an Alice Springs thrifty car.
No. What happens in
Alice
stays at Smellus.
Broad Farm.
Yeah. But yeah, like at least if you're gonna do, like, make them do, or anyone do 450k, at least a semi-untouched track apart from pre-running.
Yep.
For them, and then run the auto division the next day.
Yes.
I'm on board.
Yep.
Just to get that endurance up.
Yes.
It would change a lot of logistics for us. Like we'd still only have like single vehicles here or there and one down the other end instead of taking a big transporter, and like everyone else taking their individual transporters down there, going around the long way. Still got 170 Ks of dirt.
Yep.
From Calgary. So everyone's still battling on that road.
Yep.
And then it's like when we get back at the end of it, there's just a massive cleanup, like a week's worth of cleaning parts, dust in the trailers, in the trucks, stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I still love it how it is. And we've been doing that. Well, I've been a part of it since like 2011.
Yep.
But it would be good to try and do a lot more longer endurance events. Like we go to the other ones, you'll do like 2 laps one day, 2 laps the next day.
Yes.
So you plan your maintenance in between that. Whereas when we went to Pooncarie this year, it was 1 lap first day.
Yes.
Was it? Yeah, the morning. Then the next day was 2 laps and 1 lap.
Yes.
So it was hard to split your maintenance up.
Yep.
So we basically did 3 air filters instead of 2.
Yes.
And then between the 2 laps and the 1 lap, we were doing like a drive shaft. We had 45 minutes.
Yep.
And then it's the other stuff like checking tires, tire pressures and stuff like that. So it really threw a spanner in the works, but it was good to see that different format.
Yep.
It was a really good test.
Yep. Of your teamwork and your
compared to your previous normal strategies of preparation and maintenance. Air filters are a big thing.
Yes.
To be honest, with the K&N style filters, especially in that race, like it wasn't dusty, but attracted a lot of heavy stuff in the filters.
Yep.
So we saw a lot of things like going quite rich on our fuel mixtures because we couldn't get the air into them.
Yes.
So playing with the Motec and stuff like that, it all comes into it, and you got to be on sort of that top of that sort of stuff and looking at all your data or any changes in any change to your usual format to keep it together.
Yep. Well, and so one of the things is that you touched on there is in between the 2 laps and the 1 lap. So in between lap 3 and lap 4, you only had 45 minutes to turn the car around. So that's what we were talking about with the
So that was
park for mate.
including refuel as
Including,
well.
yeah, yep. So
Yes.
that was from the moment you crossed the finish line.
Yep.
That you had 45 minutes to present back to the start line.
For Park for May.
Yep. Yep. So that's a whole nother element as well, like the endurance as well as the I believe it was it was a fair while ago. I think it was 2011 or 12. They actually ran if I get it right, I could be wrong here, the Griff 100. So it was a 700-kilometer long race weekend,
Yeah,
and
right.
it wasn't endurance, and everything was included in your time. So if you had to stop and or when you stopped to do fuel, that was actually all included as part of your race time.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a proper endurance race. Yeah, so I'd love to see something like that.
So it's sort of like the American Baja
Yes.
sort of thing
Yeah,
with the
yeah, or like
pressurized jugs and
oh, no,
stuff like that.
nothing got that crazy here in Australia because we still had our we still had to abide by the rules, yeah, and
Non-electric fuel pumps.
Vehicles shut down, people out,
No one touching
neck to
the
wrist
vehicle.
to ankle,
Everyone
fire
clothed.
extinguisher, yep. So pressurized rig that there was no need for it as well, I guess, or whether they would even accept it. It's that's a crazy thing that they do it. Some of the crazy things there's that footage floating around on YouTube, and I wish I had the ability to find it very quickly, but my YouTube searches haven't been great lately. But I believe it was Mark McMillan.
You've been searching trophy trucks, or
yeah, I did, but I didn't want to let that cat out of the bag. I've been watching a lot of Fink content in the last couple of years, but they actually made a refueling rig. That essentially another vehicle pulled up behind the trophy truck.
Oh, that
and,
was
McMillan.
No, that was a long time ago, man.
Yes.
I remember that. It was just to psych everyone out.
Yes.
They're basically on the bitchy, and I'll make just jams at like a
Yes.
fighter pilot.
Yeah, so and it had another rod that would push the car. So the guy, the trophy truck slipped into neutral.
Yeah.
Come along and then engaged. It's not McMillan, but it was Millen or Mark Millen.
That was that was a while ago,
a long
man,
time ago
when they first tried that, and like it saved a little bit of time, but it was basically a psych out. I remember him saying that it was cool to just come up with that, just like a little push along, a little liaison on the bitchy.
Yep.
And yeah,
and then I believe it got banned for a technicality because you weren't allowed to. One of the rules stated you weren't allowed to pit on the highway, and they classed it as a pit.
Yeah.
So yep.
It's sort of
a rolling pit, but still a cool idea.
Yeah, and how do you judge?
Yes, that's right as well. So, yeah, fun and games. I like it. All righto, Mickey B. I reckon it's getting the fire's starting to get a bit low.
Yep.
What do you reckon, mate? I reckon it's time we start to wrap it up. Is there?
I've heard enough.
Oh, I don't know. I've enjoyed it, mate. Is there anyone in particular you'd like to give a bit of a shout out or a thanks to?
Oh, of course. The Off-Road Cartel crew.
Oh, stop it.
The Queensland crew. Yeah, everyone I've dealt with in off-road racing. Cheers to everyone. It's been great. And thanks to Smoothie, Bo, Drew, Reese Boy, Jakey, and and Brady and all the teams and Comiskey and that had a good time, and Billy as well. This Fink as usual, especially with that slow cook steak.
Oh,
talk to me.
We're talking about that, like the fact that the whole man's mission was to get to Fink at a certain time so he could have the smoker fired up.
Yeah,
to get that brisket.
Stevie.
Yeah, what a man! What a man!
Yeah, no, just thanks to everyone, and bring it on with everything else, and really looking as I guess everyone is, and just keep hooking in and keep it real, and
I love it.
Yeah, cheers.
Well, Mickey, I want to say I appreciate it. I know we actually spoke to you about coming on the podcast when Dan and I first kicked it off, and you're a little nervous.
Still am.
I know, but I want to say a massive thank you for you for coming on board and having a bit of a chat. You're one of the most interesting characters and well thought out characters that I know of in off road. Like I said, we've personally been involved with you coming to races, and also You've helped out a heap in getting the engine mounts and everything, the gearbox mounts sorted in the Gymco for the Dodge and the
Shockies.
Albans, the front shock mounts. We're working on the seats and everything like that at the moment. So I do really appreciate you, mate.
Continued.
To be continued, mate. And I know I'll make sure I get an industrial shower or something here installed so that you can scrub yourself after you've after you've touched after you've touched a buggy and got to go back to a trophy truck. So, mate, I appreciate it. And everyone that's listening at home, thanks a lot. Hope you've enjoyed it and have a good night.
See ya.